podcast is an exciting episode because we have a special friend here, Kiana. I actually maybe should tell you who I am. I'm Ashlea, the Orange Lady, and I started the Squeeze to give you the tough but necessary juice you need to build and sustain your career. I worked in tech, nonprofit, and the public sector, and I made mistakes so that you don't have to. Sharing first-gen stories about navigating the workplace. If you love this pod, even if you like it a little bit, if you want to share it with a friend, if you want to give it a review, love to see that, or just drop 5 stars, I will take it. It really helps the pod grow and be seen. And friends that love friends share great podcasts with them. A few episodes ago, I covered an article from JED, which is the organization that you work at. And it was all about recognizing mental health. And I kind of adapted it to talk about the workplace. And I said, we've got to get Kiana on the podcast. And it has been so long that we have been trying. Kiana travels a lot for work. And so it just has not lined up. So we are lucky beyond measure today. So lucky that I'm going to pop some Purple Label, which if you don't know and you're not watching on YouTube, Purple Label is the Costco Prosecco. Do not sleep on it. It's so good. So
we're popping Purple Label
because this is like very exciting. Kiana and I met a few years ago. We used to live in the same apartment complex, and we never would have known each other but for a JuiceBar member was on a date with Kiana, and said person was like, I think that I am like at the same place where you live. You know, texted me this, and I was like, is it called blank? I won't say where we live.
Yeah.
We don't live there.
We don't live
anymore,
there.
but yeah.
But we're not going to say it.
Yeah, we're not going to say it. No free advertising.
None of it.
And at one point you all came over, like, and we met and had a lot of fun and connected, and then we do our weekly pizza nights, and so you would come over, and it just, like, I always joke with you that you are literally the only person that we are friends with from said place.
Yeah.
And it has been wonderful. So cheers. Excited to have you here. Gonna move the Purple Label out of the frame because, again, Costco, we love you, but you know, if you want to sponsor, where do you want to start?
I don't even know. I mean, I guess we could start a little bit. We could just take it all the way back, and I can introduce myself and tell a little bit of my story.
Yeah,
how it connects to
wrap in your education. Like, let's go all the way back, however far you want to go. And
so, I mean, there's some things I guess that you know about. No, we're all buckling up. There's some things I feel like you know about my story, but I feel like there's also some stuff that you're also going to be learning about for the first time too. Which is cool. So I'm excited to have it.
We are going to be learning together, all of us.
Yes, please feel included. We wish you had some Purple Label over there with you.
Yeah,
but
if you need to pause and go pull some out of the fridge, we will wait.
Now's your time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. If you're hearing an accent already and you're asking yourself a lot of questions about that, I am from New York City, and that's where it's from. Just kidding. I'm in Mississippi.
I was like, this is the lie she didn't tell me she was going to tell.
Oh, I literally, people are like, where are you from? I'm like, New York City. And they just get so thrown off. They don't know what to do with it.
Kind of love that.
Yeah, I eventually tell them.
Yeah.
It's Maine. But, yeah, so that's where I'm from originally. And I just feel like it's so important to my story. My mom was such a huge part of, like, why I do the things I do today and, like, why I'm interested in the things I'm interested in. But growing up, like, she really struggled with her mental health. And she was so many things beyond just her mental health, of course. But, like, it was definitely, it impacted our lives a lot. So we moved around a lot. I went to 3 different high schools. And people would ask me, like, did you have a parent that was in the military? Is that why y'all move all the time?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but my mom was always fighting a war with herself. And that sometimes required us to move and to pick up and to go somewhere new. And we landed in this town in high school named Bayou La Batre, Alabama. And if you have you ever seen Forrest Gump?
Yes, but it's been a very long time.
Yeah. It's like the shrimping town that Bubba is from, and based on Bayou La Batre, Alabama. So she was like, I like the name. It has a ring to it. We moved there, like, not knowing anyone. And while we were there, things they were good at first, because with my mom, we would have like months, like stretches that things were awesome. But then her mental health would really, like, especially if she was under a lot of stress or anything like that, she would just kind of not be herself. And so in that process, we lost our house. We lost a lot of friends and connections that we had there. And so me, my 2 younger brothers, my mom, we were dealing with like houselessness and homelessness, right? During that time that I'm like literally sharing a double bed with my little brother who used to kick me in my back so hard. We had a mini fridge, no ice cream in that thing because the freezers are not even real. They're like,
no, they're not real.
I hate them. Yeah. This program comes to this random school in this random town that I'm in, and it's named LEADA, and it stands for Leadership Enterprise for a Diverse America. And they talked to us about this college access program where you could go to Princeton University for 7 weeks and you could learn how to apply to these schools, go on college tours. And I don't know, a lot of my classmates that were in there with me left that day being like, I gotta go on a cruise this summer. I'm not doing that. And I'm sitting there thinking about my little brother with his like feet digging in my back, and I'm like, I'm gonna apply.
Like, that's a vacation. Like 7 weeks away from him is a vacation.
Real freezers.
Yeah.
And probably lots of ice cream too. I don't know. So I applied, and just during the application process, because it was pretty intense. It was like 3 rounds, and it just took time and all that good stuff.
It's essays, it's interviews. It is absolutely like
it's in depth.
You have to do,
you gotta, they need to know you're gonna put in the work, and I totally get that. And it's super selective. It was then selective, and it still is. But yeah, like during that process, my mom and I just like, it was not working out at all for me to continue to stay there. So then I was like really couch surfing. I wasn't living in the hotel anymore either. And I just kind of wondered, am I going to go to college? Am I going to be able to do the things that I want to do? Like, where is my life going? I couldn't picture.
This was your what year of high school is it?
Junior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before that, though, you had always thought, of course I will, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to. I think it was something where it felt so far away that I don't think I'd seriously considered it. But as it was like junior year and everybody else is talking about going to like programs, I started to think about it. But in the midst of all of this chaos and me literally not having any sort of solid ground to put my feet on, I was like, I just need to get through today. And that's all I can think about. Yeah. But I kept pushing with this application and kept it rolling. And then I found out I got into LEADA. And I've had this feeling it was going to change my life, and it so did. Have you ever like had a moment where you were like a part of like a program or something, or there was just a yes that was a very important yes? Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I am from, a lot of similarities, and like I am from a very rural part of Missouri and grew up dancing and had kind of outgrown my studio and really wanted to pursue being a professional dancer. And our dance studio hired someone that had gone to University of Arts in Philadelphia. And so she knew about all of these summer programs that I didn't even, the internet was like little baby internet then. Like it wasn't like you could just be like dance programs and everything. Yeah. And she, like, we went in on Saturdays and she would videotape my, you had to do all these different kinds of combinations and things to record, to send in. Like, you literally sent in the videotape as your audition for their summer programs. And I got into North Carolina School of the Arts.
Oh, really?
And so I went there for 5 weeks. And yeah, I was like, I don't know what is going to happen, but like this is a game changer.
I love that. And then it's connected to North Carolina as well. How cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like there are just some times where you get yeses and they feel like, I think something just shifted in whatever was going to be my path, my destiny. And that felt like that for me. I go to Princeton. It's the most awesome 7 weeks. And
there's kids from what, all over the U.S.?
all over. I was meeting so many people. I ended up meeting my future college roommate and all this good, not to spoil it, but I ended up meeting my future college roommate. All of
you went to college.
I did. I did the thing. But yeah, it was just awesome. We toured a lot of different campuses. We did all the things. So I put together a list of 11 schools I wanted to apply to.
Okay.
The very top of my list was a school named Barnard College, which is part of Columbia University, but it's also just its own lovely, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And you went to an all-women's as well, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. And it is in New York City, so she has spent time there.
Yes. So the accent did not leave me in New York, though, quite obviously, because it's still hanging out with me. But I applied to all these schools. I love Swarthmore College as well. That was like a very, very close second in my heart. But I was like wondering, am I going to get admitted? Like, how, even if I do get admitted, how am I going to afford this?
Yeah.
Which is like the next step. And then I received word that, yes, like, you're admitted, Barnard, let's get it. And I'm like, okay, great. How am I going to pay? And I had a lot of financial aid and a lot of help. I'd become like emancipated minor, so it was really just my income and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But then I found out I got the Gates scholarship. So it's like the Gates Millennium, full ride undergrad, some of grad as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I moved to New York at 18.
Is Gates, I know it's a full ride, but do they also give you like money for incidentals or like study abroad or things like that? Or is it just like tuition, room and board?
Yeah, so the program has changed since I was in it. There was Gates Millennium that went through, I don't know, I think I was in college whenever it kind of switched over, so I don't know exactly what it's like now. But whenever I was in it, it was complete full ride. Last dollar is what they called it, scholarship. So they would, after financial aid, after any scholarships you had otherwise, they would come in and pay whatever was left. And then I did study abroad, and they helped me with that as well. And they paid for like housing and stuff. So yeah, it was awesome. And I had the best 4 years there. But whenever I first got there, it was like, what am I going to study? Okay, I didn't even know if I was going to get here. Now that I'm here, what do I want to do next?
Did you drive up from Mississippi or did you fly? Like,
I had to drive because Southern people have a lot of belongings, and I had a lot of stuff because my grandmother's like, let's go to Bed Bath and Beyond and like get everything you need. And then we had a van full of stuff that I had to haul, across state lines. I had like a kettle and stuff. Like, how did I buy that there? I don't know. Just like, everything's gonna be so expensive in New York. So yeah, I drove.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like, what am I gonna study? What do I want to do now? I'm here. And I don't know, like at Barnard, you don't have to declare your major for the first 2 years. And so I started just taking a lot of different classes and exploring. And I found that the classes that were in the psychology department, they felt like more than just school to me. They felt like me understanding my mom, me understanding myself, me realizing that things that I thought were personal to me and my family were actually huge, and health issues. And I know that sounds kind of...
No, me taking my first women and gender studies class, and I was like, this is all of the things that I've never had language for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, I need all of this.
Absolutely. And things that maybe you're just like, oh, I thought I just noticed this, or this was just me, but there's a word.
There's research on
that. Yeah. Well, I'm finally backed. But then also you really start to trust your own experience and knowledge of things, right?
Yeah.
Like as well, because whenever I would go into those rooms and those classes, there was a lot in the textbooks and a lot on the slides that I was like, this is such valuable information. But there's also a lot that I know from living it.
Yeah.
Right? With her, but there's a lot that I didn't know from being someone who like really cared for someone that was on that, but I wasn't experiencing it myself.
Yeah.
And that really opened me up to like start to have a new relationship with my mom and a new understanding of her. And so we reconciled. We had a great like relationship and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But all the work I do now is mental health, and I've been led there in a lot of different ways, and yeah, it's where I feel like I fit in the world.
Yeah.
All the mental health things.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you didn't shy away from your own experience and knowledge, because I think a lot of times when people go into a formal education system, we downplay our own intuition and lived experience because it's not, where's the literature review that, that cites everything. Yeah. And so I think that's just really impressive that you were able to kind of stay grounded in like, this is important and I'm learning all of this new information, but my experience actually makes it whole.
So I love that. I love the way that you put it. Yeah. So I had internships every single summer, and so many of them had to do with either community-based work and just generally kind of supporting communities at home. I went back to Mississippi for a summer and worked at the Boys and Girls Club that helped grow me and make me into the person I was too. And
I worked at the Boys and Girls Club.
Did you?
Yes.
I love it. Where at in Missouri?
No, in Roanoke, Virginia, and in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I love that. Boys and Girls Clubs are, where's that?
Yeah.
And then I also had an internship at a maternal mental health nonprofit, and I loved the combination of let's do community work, and then let's also like zoom in on this mental health piece of things, because there's so much to being like to motherhood and like all the different things in parenthood, but then also really looking at and specializing in that mental health piece.
Yeah.
I started to think like, how can we? I started to think like, where do I want to specialize in the world? Like, where do I want to see that connection? I'm still figuring it out, because there's a lot of communities that I'm like, I care a lot about the specific mental health issues that I know exist in them. So yeah, it's hard to settle.
And you don't have to.
Yeah.
And it will keep evolving. I mean, I went into working at Boys and Girls Clubs and focusing on education and young folks because I didn't have all of those opportunities. I had fantastic opportunities, but I didn't. And then I wanted to go into college access because I'm first in the family to go, right? And that informed so much of like, if this was not, I wish I'd had this knowledge.
Yeah.
But I have the opportunity to share it now. That just continued to evolve, and it will. Yeah, cheers. Because then there came a point when I was like, okay, I've done all that I can here. I'm ready to move on into the corporate space and bring that experience to a different, kind of work. And so it never, even if you're not doing that specific thing, it never goes away. Like everything you do will be informed and building upon it. I tell people that all the time. Like a career change doesn't mean you are like rejecting your education and all the time and money that you have invested in something. It's just building on it. It doesn't ever go away. Like no matter if you said tomorrow, I'm going to go be a biomedical engineer, you would probably run circles around people because you understand how teams work, how people, when their mental health is well, that they are able to then feel a part. Like you just know so much that makes you a good leader, right? Beyond, yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's such a good perspective to have too, because mental health does show up literally everywhere. And I think that's whenever I do trainings and workshops, because that's where my job is at now, is I do a lot of workshops in suicide prevention, but also just general mental health for college faculty and staff, for students, for high school staff, for corporations, like different things like that. We all have mental health at all times, just like we all have physical health at all times. It's not like mental health doesn't just appear whenever there's an issue, right? You have to maintain it. You have to like pay attention to it. And there are going to be times inevitably that you're distressed. There are going to be times inevitably that you are not well. But it really is, do you have the support and the resources you need to recover?
Yeah.
Or to just feel good with like where you're at and like to feel supported in that as well.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to cut off. Is that, so, you studied, then you graduated, and then you started your career in?
Well, yeah, public health, really. So I went back and I got my graduate degree, and I got my master's. No, I definitely took some time. And worked and like figured out what I wanted to do. Figured out one-on-one was probably not best for me, like a more clinical approach. So then I went back, got my master's in public health. And so I really look at community mental health. So then, yeah.
So I met you after you had finished your master's and you were working in Chapel Hill. and you learned a lot about yourself.
I learned so much about myself on that job. And it was really back to that whole thing of maybe one-on-one was not the best for me. Like, I'm not the best suited for that type of job. But I was also specifically working with people who were experiencing homelessness and also severe mental illness. And I just kept meeting my mom and people. And I just wasn't able to be effective because it was so sometimes triggering for me. And I wanted to put everything into it.
Too close, yeah.
It was too close. And the work I get to do now is meaningful. So I'm still in mental health work, but it's more public mental health. And it's a really lovely job. It's such a good fit for me.
Whew. Yeah, everybody. We all have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. And even as someone who talks about it every day, I'm definitely not perfect in it. It is a practice. And it's a learning. You have to me, my mental health, sometimes it helps me if I think about it as this almost separate thing where it's like, I'm just trying to understand you. Let me sit across from you and talk to you like you're my best friend.
Yeah.
Why are you sad? Why is it so have dark hair right now? Is there something that I can do that would make you feel more supported, more heard, more right? What are you trying to tell me? And the cheersing that is happening to all the mental health things, I'm here for it. Thank you so much, Kirkland. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where you just kind of have to, everybody has it at all times, and it's important to work with it.
Yeah, no, I've learned a lot from you just in our friendship and how you communicate and check in, and draw your own boundaries, even if we have plans and then one of us is like, you know what? I can't do that today. It's probably one of the safest spaces I have to feel okay saying, rain check. Let's do this.
That means a lot to me.
Another day.
And I feel the same way. It is safe. It's a safety of you are allowed to prioritize your mental health above this thing that can be flexible and different, and I don't know, whenever you have those caring friendships and all that stuff where they want you to do that, they want you to do what's well and good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, it means so much. I also believe that you can have that at work. I believe that you can have colleagues that look out for you and want to know that you're well, and you're like, can I take this meeting off my calendar? Can I take this meeting on Zoom without the camera on? And they're like, yes, if you're doing something for you, that's the happiest thing that could possibly happen.
And that is, I don't think I said this. This is definitely part one. This is hey, get to know this amazing human, Kiana. She's a JuiceBar member. Yes. She just was in the newsletter that I sent out because she's also in a BBC video that's special. I don't know how much we can talk about that, but okay, that's great. But so this is part one. We're going to have Kiana back, and we're going to talk about mental health in the workplace because,
there's a lot. There's a lot.
There is a lot to unpack, and she has a lot that I think I know we can learn from. We will link to all kinds of things Kiana in the notes under the comments so that you can follow up. But just know that this amazing human is coming back for part 2, where we will actually talk about issues in the workplace and how we stay healthy. Yeah. But love you.
Love you.
So glad we met. Cheers. All right. Now I've got the juice. Time to put it to use.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Thanks.